This part of the Star Cruiser commentary is brought to you by us and the Dynamix series of animated video wallpapers. Whether it be a station ID or in-video graphic, I work on AVWs of the 2.5-dimensional form, spanning from 3 to 60 seconds on average. For more information, check out the program via these YouTube URLs or go to their links down in the video description. Welcome to part 4 of the Star Cruiser commentary. I've only got time today to do just one part. It's July 27. I've actually got some meetings I gotta deal with, so I thought, why not just deal with this part now so I don't have to worry about it later. So we've got roughly 67 minutes to go through here. Today is, for the most part, all plot. And then the entire second half is just going to be me grinding for Deuter Ores hunting the solar system. So there's not really much that we have to talk about today. So the plan is to go straight to Gothic. I will take a slight detour to Ghost just so I can gather up some heavy ores. But we'll see that when the time comes. So, as I said, it's July 27. John Ortiz has his birthday today. John Ortiz of Some Call Me Johnny, Super Gaming Brothers, and Brain Scratch Com's fame. Let's see, he was born in 1987, right? So yeah, he's 32 now. Man, we're all getting old. We're all getting old. I've been watching his material for roughly 10 years. So... yeah. My goodness. Either way, I hope he's enjoying his birthday today. But here's the thing, this episode's gonna be uploaded in late August, early September. Probably early September, knowing me. So, but yeah, I'm sure that he'll have enjoyed himself. So, going back to here, so we got Netscape, Lasterna, and a whole bunch of interesting enemies that we have to worry about this time around. Gothic is where you will fight Mahaku Rou proper. The only problem is, this is not a planet for the weak. And this is actually an area that I personally feel probably would have benefited more from having a lot of energy plus 5000s. Maybe even kind of like how Star Cruiser MD has it, where you can refill your missiles. There are areas in Star Cruiser MD where you can get 10, 20 missiles, depending on what you get. It can be for homing missile 1 or 2, maybe even 3. I honestly forget right now. But yeah, the first thing you do the second you go to Gothic, do what I just did. Take out some enemies to the best of your ability. Make sure that the exit is open, and at the same time, get the energy tank. Make sure you get that third energy tank while getting rid of as many enemies as you can here, because you will thank me later. This is not an area where you want to be low on resources. And this is actually part of the reason why I did a rehearsal run to begin with. Because I actually got a few game overs the first time that I did this area. Because I'm assuming that they expect you to use the gravity gun, or at least the quantum gun, on 10 megahertz. And if you have booster 3 for the quantum gun, then yeah, you pretty much don't have to worry that much. But it's very easy to get lost here. And especially due to the way that they handle the final section. The end section of Gothic is bad. Because once you get to a certain area, once you unlock the gates to go to the second floor down here, there will be enemies, I think a whole bunch of nest gates that respawn. And as a result, you won't have an easy time coming in or out of this particular base. So once they show up, it's basically, if you don't have the resources you need, you better leave the planet and get the resources you need. Don't go to the gate until you're ready. Cannot stress that enough. The difficulty of this game is already brutal as is. So I'm at least glad that, you know, by this point, you have 40,000 units of energy, but somehow I feel that in many respects, you just need more. You know, I'll be truthful, I'm not really used to this version of the battle theme. Maybe it's just because when I was first exposed to actual gameplay of Star Cruiser, it was the PC 9800 version. I kind of have grown a bit more accustomed to the YM2203. By the way, that's that gate that I was talking about. But yeah, I've kind of grown a bit more accustomed to the YM2203 soundtrack. At least for that particular song. And it does make a difference. It definitely does. So once you have run out of energy, your best bets will be to, well, not get hit by the metal ores, please. But no, your best bets will be return to Hollywood, get your tank refilled, go back to Station 3, get as many missiles as you can, and just keep restocking, because you definitely do need it. Wait, did the music just skip? Oh, that's not... Oh, okay, alright, no, I see what's happening. Okay, for those that are unaware of what's going on, that's actually my computer gimping out on me. I don't know what's happening right now. Okay, I gotta go to the task manager. Where is... Right, I could have set this to high priority. This has happened on a few occasions. I'm not sure if it has something to do with maybe the sound driver. It might have to do something with the Realtek sound driver. It might have something to do with the fact, too, that I just upgraded my AMD drivers as well. Yeah, because I decided to... What version am I running on? 1.7.3 of the Adrenaline lineup? Speaking of which, I'm actually not running on traditional AMD Radeon drivers. I'm using Radeon Pro for my RX 550. Amazingly, yeah, there actually is a minor improvement when it comes to installing Radeon Pro drivers onto a Radeon RX graphics card. I guess, I mean, I don't know exactly how beneficial it is, but I noticed that in Vegas Pro, you know, Vegas Pro has always been AMD friendly. That's why, for most renders, people will probably benefit more from a Radeon 7 than a Titan RTX. And in the case of Radeon Pro on RX 550, like if I'm doing something with, say, like Twixtor, or if I'm using the Pure Light engine, I notice I gain a few frames per second in render time, like a 7 up from 5, or 11 up from 8 or 10. But of course, it's very palette dependent, and a few other things. Whether or not, however, this would be much different if I were using a solid-state drive for my renders, that will be determined well later on. Because I've always used hard drives for my material because, you know, hard drives have always been more efficient for me. Solid-state drives are still ridiculously expensive for high-denomination storage. And, you know, as somebody that intends to upgrade to a high-denomination Seagate Iron Wolf just for hard disk storage, and then I'm probably going to be using Nitro. I'll probably be using Nitro for SSDs if money is an obstacle. Because I do feel that... Because I think that Nitro actually probably won't be as much of a problem when compared to Iron Wolf. There have been a lot of weird reviews for Barracuda, Skyhawk, and Iron Wolf, by the way. Like, it seems to be, like... There's a good amount of people that do okay with those drives. And then there are people that say, like, it was dead on arrival, and like only worked for a specific amount of time. But then again, those particular negative reviews, I took a look at the dates, and just like as we are in right now, they got it during Mercury retrograde, of all times. Of all times, Sacred, you do not buy new hardware during Mercury retrograde. That's why I was also a bit skeptical. There's a heavy ore. But they're gray. They're not supposed to be blue. Now, you know what? Screw it. Palette limitations. I see Bundos. Okay, but yeah, that's actually why I was a bit skeptical about the AMD Ryzen 3000 launch, because I knew for a fact that Mercury retrograde would affect the hardware somehow. It definitely affected RX 5700. No two ways about it. There's Cornelia 2. Yeah, RX 5700's launch was brutal. But the AMD BIOS issues, especially with anything X570, it definitely showed exactly why you do not launch a piece of hardware during a time where you know for a fact you're gonna have hardware issues. But, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Lisa Su knew what she was doing with the numbering, but, again, the timing was just wrong. Never do a launch during retrograde unless if you know that everything you are doing is as perfected as possible. Also, you might think this is a regular rock. Nope, heavy element ores. You have to move it in which, yeah, once you destroy it, you get a heavy ore. This is the only area in the game where you can do something like this, by the way, which feels very weird. It feels very, very weird that this is the only place in the entire universe, or at least this entire series of star systems, where you can do a practice like this. Aside from the IO mine, of course. But when it comes to an area such as this where you're moving rocks, this is the only area where you can move rocks to get ores. No other area has this. Yes, Salamander has a rock that you have to move, but that is plot specific. You can't just move it regularly. You'll understand what I'm talking about once we get to part 7. More on that later. And we are now out of... Well, pretty much we're out of missile. So, yeah, so now we have to rely heavily on just our regular weapon. Oh, that's interesting. From the back, the Cornelia 2s actually have the same design as the Cornelia 1, or at least the same palette. Yeah, you know, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Cornelia 2 is just a palette change. Walking Legs, however, of course, has Walking Legs 1 and 2. But the Walking Legs 1 and 2 variants are much bigger by comparison. You won't be seeing them until Void, I think I mentioned that. My memory's a bit off right now. One thing I do appreciate, too, is that we are actually in an area that is true to its, true to its palette. So yeah, the fight is nighttime and the background is nighttime. What is a bit weird, however, is, because we don't know the actual atmosphere of Ghost. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly, like, what the gravity is, or, like, if it's even habitable. Because, I mean, you're taking a look at this planet, and you notice it's just half a planet. It's like somebody decided to use the Eclipse cannon and blow up the... Oh! No. No, this is 1988, or 1989, not 1991. What would the Robotniks have anything to do with the Sirius system? Would they even know about the Sirius system? Well, okay, maybe in a hypothetical situation where, yeah, every single series and every single game is somehow related to one another, maybe that would make better sense. But no. No. This was well before then, so I'll toss that kind of thought out the window. I can't get enough of Sirius's music. Sirius's? Or Sirius apostrophe? Because, I mean, I don't say Knuckles's, that doesn't sound right. Because, like, if I'm referring to Knuckles, that's exactly how that's supposed to sound. It's not supposed to sound any other way. By the way, you know, I've talked a little bit about the art style, not just the anime art style for the characters and the regular stuff, but honestly the 3D backgrounds and just the pre-rendered models in general. I have grown attached to this art style. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's an old art style for what it's worth. Not a lot of music videos nowadays use it, if ever. And not a lot of video games even use it nowadays either, but it still stands out as probably some of the most attractive 3D art for its time. Which honestly makes me wonder why more games weren't made with this. But of course, if the way that certain titles, not just Star Cruiser MD, but what was it called? Is it called Radical Driving or something around that? You probably know what I'm talking about. Let me take a look. Radical Driving. I typed in Drinnen by accident. Let's see, so then put Sega in parentheses, and... oh, Hard Driving, my apologies. Yeah, Hard Driving is another good example of 3D art that just so happened to be similar, kind of on par with what you'd expect out of Star Cruiser. But it's a very frequency-dependent game, and man, does it pilot at a tank's pace. You have to overclock the Motorola 68000 or in his regen, increase the cycles per line, because you're not really going to get much of any benefit out of it at stock speed. The only thing is, be careful not to overclock it too high, because, like Star Cruiser, if you have too high of a frequency base clock for the Motorola 68000, it can make the game virtually unplayable. Lotus 3, the Ultimate oh, I already talked about Lotus in the previous part, didn't I? Yeah, because Lotus also had pre-rendered graphics. And, specifically Lotus 2 RECS. The frequency of the 68000 was better than how it was handled on the Amiga. So you actually did have instances where occasionally the gameplay would shift over to 60 frames per second. But that wasn't the case that whole time. There were instances in Lotus 2 RECS where, I mean, it would tank to about 20, sometimes even 15 frames per second. Usually it wouldn't go any higher than 30 just because of the nature of how many... like, the entire road was a pre-rendered model. And it was using scalable sprites. You know, that's stuff that you would expect from, you know, an arcade device, an arcade machine, or maybe even the Super 32X. But, you know, to get that kind of performance on an original Mega Drive, but without overclocking, was indeed a feat in and of itself, but as I said, there weren't a lot of people playing the game proper at 60 FPS just because of the fact that, you know, they would have had to disassemble their console. Nowadays, you know, thanks to the fact that the patents for most Mega Drives are dead, Or, sorry, patents are dead? The patents are dead? But no, there's just a lot that could be done now with the Motorola 68000. I think it probably would be easy for somebody to make custom models in, like, full time. And just give people a much more overall experience. Which is kind of why I'm still curious about these consoles on a chip. You know, like, not just, you know, custom Mega Drives or Sega Fusion, or even Retron 5, but pretty much anything that has both an emulator and a native hardware. Because I don't know how much the hardware has been optimized in order to do certain things. I'm still a bit confused myself. I think I've gotten everything here, didn't I? I think I did. Yeah, I have everything that I need here, so I don't have to do much. So all I gotta do is just yeah, I can just head back. Am I gonna do some metal ore grinding here? Oh, I guess I'm gonna do some metal ore grinding here. Again, not that it's necessary. Not that it's really necessary, because I don't use... I keep enough repair kits on me at all times. I don't have to worry. But at least we get to see me take down some ships. Because, you know, we haven't really been able to see much of the space combat in this game. And it shows how easy and also how difficult the fights can be. Especially with a higher frequency, because you can get pretty lost in an area such as this. But that's why I don't give this area too much of my time, because it's not necessary to do a whole bunch of space battles when you have virtually limitless money. Heck, even in Star Cruiser MD, I wasn't really finding myself fighting a whole bunch of ships in space. I was usually just finding myself warping from planet to planet. And again, that made the game much faster and a bit more convenient on the mind. Significantly better ease of access, if you will. One thing I'm actually kind of surprised that they didn't do, but again, I'm assuming it was due to data limitations. And again, this probably would have been something that would have changed if Star Cruiser came out in 1996. Like, real-time, like, day and night progression. Because I would love to see what some of these areas would look like if the palette constantly changed to accommodate for, like, if it were daytime, if it were nighttime, if it were afternoon and sunset, or sunrise, or deep in the after dark hours. You know, obviously, because, you know, we're in space, you probably wouldn't be able to see what's going on there, but at least for the planets, you know, don't get me wrong, every planet has its own individual feel. The only downside is, of course, most planets usually share the same track. But, you know, for a game that already has over 30 original tracks, I think it's safe to say that this title did what it needed to for its time. Because how many tracks, I mean, how many games at the time had north of even 20 tracks in their OST? Like, did Phantasy Star have over 20? I need to check my Sega Mark Master material, because I know for a fact that I still have it here. That'll probably tell me. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Let me use the keyboard instead. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see. Landmaster. So, Lashik. 11, 12, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Oh, it's just 19. 19 for the original Phantasy Star. This does not include the two separate soundtracks when not combined. Yeah, this does not include the two separate soundtracks when combined. So it was 19 tracks all in all. But then again, that was a Sega Mark III title. Were there a lot of Sega Mark III titles at the time that had? Now, in the 80s, I do not remember there being many Mark III or Mark III Master System or Game Gear titles that had more than 20 tracks. But again, that was just common practice. Common practice due to the current size. You know, it just kind of hit me. For a black market, there's not a lot of black walls. Why is it a whole bunch of red? And I'm sure that there's probably going to be somebody, not in the comments, but probably somebody that plays this game down the road thinking, you know what? What if all the walls were water, and the green wall was grass, and the red walls was just a whole bunch of the blood spatter of those that tried to hijack the black market or infiltrate it, and they just didn't have the time to clean it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a weird concept, weird thought, but it wouldn't sound so far-fetched for what it's worth. Again, weirder things have happened. Weirder things have happened in titles such as this. But either way, I am kind of happy though that the original Star Cruiser and also the Sharp X68000 port kind of stuck with the monochromatic wall template. Because Star Cruiser MD, once we get to that, you're going to see that all the walls are textured. Each of them have their own unique art style. And don't get me wrong, it's nice on paper, it's nice when the Mega Drive is overclocked, but man does it not look nice. I mean, it looks okay to some degree, Messiah did a decent job, but it can be a bit of an eyesore, if only because of the fact that there isn't a lot of shading done in Star Cruiser MD when compared to the Sharp X68000 port of the original. And it definitely shows. Cause you could take a look at like a wall that is supposed to be like, it's supposed to be this big Enos bush. It's supposed to be nothing but grass. Nothing but grass. No, I'm right. It is a grass texture. But because of the way that it looks, I mean, it's very unattractive. It's not like how you see here, like all the walls have different colors. No, that's not what I mean. It's a whole bunch of the same sprite, tiled. These are probably 8x8s. They're either 8x8s or 16x16s. And they're tiled everywhere where they would be where there would regularly be where there would be a wall present. And it feels unfitting. You'll understand what I mean once you see it, but for the time being, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that you needed the wall sensor here, because that's how you unlock the gate. Now, Gate C is all of these areas. All these areas that have these enemies here. And this is basically where you can, yeah, you got extra windows. This is basically where you can just get some repair kits, some extra items. And this is actually what you actually do need to go through these areas in order to unlock the gate that takes you up to the second floor. But once we're done here, then we have to head back to Hollywood and back to Station 3 so that we can make sure that we're 100%. And again, it's just a lot of redundancy. For an area such as this, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's understandable. It's reasonably understandable. But I do feel that this could have been handled better. The only thing that I probably wouldn't recommend is just the way that the gameplay is handled in Star Cruiser MD for an area such as this. because I feel that if you had to handle all of these enemies in real time, especially considering their AI, I would not be surprised if they could, you know, gang up on you, and then you just completely get bodied out of nowhere. But as I said, saw that gate? Do not head there. If you do, you are in for a barrage of pain for your fuel tank. So we're heading back to Hollywood. Actually, no, we're gonna go straight to Station 3. Station 3, Colony 3, whatever it happens to be. And I accidentally shot a missile. Well, at least it'll follow the ship. At least it'll follow the ship. The only thing is, however, like, even if you shoot a homing missile out in space like this, I don't actually know where it goes. Because, you know, once you fire a missile, I don't think it homes in on anything that's around you or that's nearby, so, you know, you're kind of in an odd position. You know, it's still hanging there right next to us. It's not gonna go any further than the ship. Even homing missile 3 doesn't go any further than the ship, and that's saying something. I think I went a little too far north. So, yep. So there goes the missile. Yeah, Colony 3. Here I am saying Station 3. No, Station 3 is a totally different thing. By the way, I kind of appreciate that like Booster 3. I love how Booster 3 uses both sky blue and purple. It's a nice touch. Because I've always felt that that's kind of the way that I think that they would have handled Phantasy Star 4. Well, Phantasy Star 2 and 4, if they could have, like, individual sprites for all the items. Like, I always felt that, and it's kind of the same way that they handled the techniques. Because the way that they handled Res, Gyres, and Nares, as well as SAR, or Sares, G-SAR, and Nasar, Tier 1 was pink. The Tier 1 healing was pink. Gyres was blue. It was either some decent shade of sapphire or sky blue. And then Nares was red. So, like, if they handled monomates, dimates, and trimates the same way, which were the single-use healing items for Phantasy Star 2 and 4, monomates would probably have, like, a pink or purple liquid. Dimates would have blue, some form of blue, and in the case of the trimates, those would be red. Now, the way that they handled Booster 1 and 2 here, Booster 1 and 2, the colors were actually kind of similar. Because, you know, your regular shot was orange, with some shades of yellow and gray in there. And even, like, if you use the Quantum Gun without Booster 1, you actually do get that same palette. If you're using, if you use Booster 1, it turns pink. Booster 2, I think, I think it's a shade of green for the Atom Gun, but it's, of course, I think a shade of blue for everything else. And then it's, like, straight up blue for Booster 3 for the shots. So again, I do feel that Phantasy Star did take some tricks out of Star Cruiser's book. That was a close shot. But I don't feel that a lot of games do enough when it comes to, palettes for just different tiers of abilities. And it is kind of a shame. Oh, come on! It didn't even touch you! It didn't even touch you! How did that asteroid hit? But either way, so we're gonna click there. Alright, so here we go. Yep. We are surrounded by Netscapes. This shall not be happy. This is very disappointing in my view, though. Because again, I personally am not a fan. I personally am not a fan of the way that they handled this area. Because the fact that now whenever you come here, there will always be a pile of nest gates showing up. Wait, hold up. Am I saying Netscape? Yeah, I'm saying Netscape. I don't know why I was thinking of Netscape. Yeah, you know Netscape, the old web browser from way back in the day that's no longer supported. In fact, I think that if you try using Netscape nowadays, I don't even think that it'll boot. Unless if somebody modded it a while back and it's completely usable, but I wouldn't know. I personally wouldn't know, because, you know, I use Opera. I don't use Netscape, I don't use Internet Explorer or MS Edge, not even Chrome. I used to use Chromium, but I have found in recent times that Chromium uses up way too much RAM for its own good. Opera has always been better, in my view, as being the good RAM compressor. And the fact that nowadays you can just install Chromium, Google Chrome and Chromium extensions to Opera, that completely defeats the purpose of Chromium even existing, at least in my view. Maybe it's just a matter of preference, but honestly, you know, there's just so much more you can do with Opera. I feel that its user interface is much more friendly. When I switched computers from the Lenovo Idea Center H5050 over to the Hewlett-Packard Pavilion 590P0057C, you know, thanks to the fact that I have an account with Opera, I don't have to worry about losing too many of my custom tabs, and also my extensions. Oh my goodness, the extensions! This was a pain in the Dick Cheney to deal with when I first got this desktop. Because what happened, you see, I was also using Opera on the eMachines ET1331G-07W. And a lot of my old custom themes from 2015 were still saved in the data. I didn't move over all my data from the from the Lenovo hard drive over to the I didn't move that particular data because I needed that 2.5-inch drive. So what I did was I moved all of the data from my eMachine's 3.5-inch Hitachi hard drive, over to the 2.5-inch Seagate that's in the Pavilion, and yeah, so all of my data from 2015 ended up being what I had to update from. But that was understandable because what is it? Freestyler.ws, which is the custom theme, add-on that I'm using. One of the things that I no longer can use proper is an extension, is a theme called Facebook Eclipse Solid Black. Probably one of the greatest themes I've ever used, but because Facebook updated their API, the person that made Facebook Eclipse, MA Styles or Ma Styles, I no longer can use the theme proper, because when you access a profile, when you go into a profile, normally the timeline is supposed to show up, but it doesn't. You have to scroll down a hefty lot now in order to do so. So I had to improvise, had to switch over to some extra themes, but that's understandable. That's to be expected with any kind of site update, so no pressure. So now time to take on Mahaku Rou, and don't get me wrong, the first time that you do this, you're very bound to run out of energy if you're not careful. But this is heavily dependent on which weapon you're using. If you are using the quantum gun, you are bound to run out fast, especially if you have to repair the shield. If you're using Gravity Gun 1, you'll likely get through this boss fight a bit quicker. But as I said, it's pretty pointless at this time to be using the gravity gun for any purpose other than to just deal with heavy-duty enemies. So, I'm actually about to run out of energy. Oh, no. I didn't run out of energy. We saved our anuses. It's all's honky-dory. So, now we have come to an archaeologist. This is Kenny Jones. Basically, what Christopher Lloyd would look like if, Actually, you know what? I would be down to see Christopher Lloyd play Kenny Jones in a live-action adaptation of Star Cruiser. The fun that people would have with that. No two ways about it. Oh my goodness. That is a good concept. If Christopher Lloyd, for whatever reason, somehow manages to come across this part and just find out that, yeah, I want to do a live-action adaptation of Star Cruiser with him as the archaeologist, yeah, I'd be down. I would be down. I'd hope he'd be down for it, too. Speaking of which, I mean, don't get me wrong, if we were back in the 80s, I think I've mentioned this earlier, you know, I would have Ron Moss play Brian Wright. He's the most fitting actor to play the role. Oh, looks like I'm making some new saves. But honestly, like, if I had to consider anybody else to play the role of Brian Wright, as I said, Brian kind of reminds me a bit of myself. So, personally, oh, and this is where I have to use the Deuter Ores. 79 of the units were used, which means I still have a little bit of energy left if I need to refill at least one tank. So that means I don't have to do as much grinding as intended. But yeah, because of the fact that I can straighten out my hair to look like Brian's, because of the fact that like, again, there's a lot of similarities between him and me character-wise that I feel that I really could play the role well. By the way, you might have noticed I didn't go for those energy tanks. There's a reason for that. Because you're going to need all the energy you can get in order to get off a Gothic. So what better way to do that than to hold off... Yeah, like, because what you're going to see here is... Yeah, so I'll probably be down to about, like 32,000? Yeah, I'm at about 32,000. So I'm about to get 6,000 in energy here. That's more than enough for me to get off of this base. That's more than enough, that's more than satisfactory. The only problem is, where do we go to take down the nest gates, and in which order? So, now, you see the method that I'm using here. This is because again, I studied the map. I made sure that I studied this map proper. Because I didn't want to accidentally go to an area where I would get lost and then effectively run out of energy. Because again, that's what happened when I first did this. I was on literally about 1 tank of energy. It was amazing that I survived, but I had to drop the frequency down to 10 megahertz just to do so. So I'm appreciative that I don't have to worry about that this time, since, you know, I've got it at 25 megahertz. I actually rehearsed this section before doing it proper. So, you know, nothing to worry about. So once you get here, you have to just deal with one more of these guys, and yeah, you're pretty much done. But yeah, they're not gonna let you go without a fight. They're not gonna let you go out of here without a fight. But you know, once that's done, you know, we just have to head back to Hollywood, drop off Kenny Jones with Gabby Todd, and then we could pretty much go to the next area. But, as I said, you know, there are certain areas where you probably might need some Deuter Ores. And what better area to go to than the solar system? So, we'll be going there next, as mentioned before. So, yeah, we got everything we need. Got everything we need here, so let's go back to Hollywood. You know, for a planet that's called Hollywood, it feels weird to have a Christmas tree as the ducking land. It's just a whole bunch of clouds, water, and then this big anus island that looks like a ducking Christmas tree. Could you imagine there being an island out anywhere in the world, and it was like that? That would feel weird. It honestly would. Why did I make a save state here? Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, I think I know what happened here. So, even though this doesn't happen, I think until you have access to the Barnard system, there is a chance that if you access Gabby Todd's house at specific points, even as early as this, you possibly could get a bus error in relation to SCSI. It's a very weird situation, but yeah. It's kind of like what I mentioned about what happens on Riken, or if you go back to Colony 1 at any point. And yeah, so yeah, now we have the information that, you know, Max has gone to Kai. So we're gonna have to go to Kai, but we're not doing that just yet. We'll be doing that when the time comes. And man, it's brutal. It's brutal on Kai. But the fortunate thing is, if you know where you're going on there, if you know exactly where you're dealing with areas on Kai, like, because again, it's a labyrinth. It's a really bad labyrinth. There's not much that you have to worry too much about, but again, it's all up to memory and strategy at that point. So, yep, head to Colony 3, because, I do not want to have to go to Slender. It is way too expensive at this point in the game for anybody to be considering constantly going back and forth to Slender to restock a Homing Missile 2. That's why I'm glad that we have the black market here, but I kind of feel bad that there aren't black markets in the other star systems. Which is part of the reason why the Space Caravan exists. The only problem is, as I said before, you only have one instance with the Space Caravan in every respective area that it is. I don't even know if the camel. Yeah, I don't even know if the camel. If the Camel Space Caravan is available in the solar system, or if it's available in Sirius. If it's not, then, well, yeah, you pretty much have to be very strategic with when you go there. It's like, do you go there early? Do you go there late? Or do you just go there to get the wall sensor? Because, again, in a situation such as where I am, money is of no obstacle. I am okay with doing what I'm doing here, in which I can just go to other areas to get what I need for missiles, and just only get the one item that's so desperately needed. But either way, can you tell that I'm tired? Yeah, as I said, this commentary I already know is all over the... Wait, as I said? I didn't even say this yet. But no, I knew this commentary would be all over the place. But, you know, that's kind of what happens when you deal with parts of this length. Because, again, I am built for this. Side Pocket 2 MD was probably the perfect example of that. But then again, I think it may be an issue of, you know, I was doing that commentary at night. This is during the daytime. Oh, sorry, during the early evening. It's 5:49 p.m. I still got 18 and a half minutes to deal with here before I head out. And oh wow, I honestly forgot. Yeah, so music. I honestly forgot about this. So yeah, Now, as you've been seeing throughout the course of these parts, you've been seeing music videos, I actually only have 4 tracks done, so, yeah. I'm gonna need to work on 4 others, just to handle parts, what is it? Yeah, just 4, 5, and... 4, 5, and 6? I'm trying to think here. Oh no, just 3. Just 3. Just 3. I had to think there for a second. And, I don't know, did I mention this before? I think I did. But yeah. Because Sirius is far away on the map, you're unable to head to the Barnard system from here. Which I do not remember if this was remedied in MD... I would need to double check. It's been a while. But yeah, so... Yeah, I apologize in advance for not really having much of any details on what I can give you about the music video for this part, because again, I forgot to actually make a music video for this part. But it's an honest mistake. It's an honest mistake. You know, all of this is not being made at the same time, because I recorded the footage. Yeah, it took me roughly. Yeah, it took me a while to record the footage. Then I decided to record the commentary throughout mid to late July, early August. The music videos will probably be done by the time we're done in August, and then of course this commentary is up in September, or whenever I upload it. Because again, I don't know when this is coming out. All that I know is it's out when it's out. By the way, I'm at least fortunate that because of the fact that we're using Booster 3, Quantum Gun on Booster 3 really, I mean, it gets rid of these asteroids with the quickness. And it definitely shows. Whoa, that was close. I think that's probably the closest you can get to an asteroid before it's counted as damage. Ugh. Dang. This area is trying to delve fear into my mind, but I ain't having any of it. Also, it's pretty worthless to deal with the enemies around here, because they don't really deliver that much of any money. It's like, if you want to deal with any enemies for money right now, best area to do it is the Sirius system. Because you can rack up a good amount of... Oh my goodness, how did I miss both of those bullets without getting hit? The world will never know. Just like how they don't know how to get to the center of it, or how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. Yeah, 150. 150. That's pathetic. That's pathetic! 400! That's not enough! That's not enough to pay Brian's repair bills, and his refilling bills, and how many homing missiles he has to get. But hey, that's not a problem. Brian's got all the money in the world. He doesn't need to worry. He doesn't need to worry. He's got enough for this adventure, and still more than enough for all them blackjack and hookers. Nah. Unless if the computer unit just so happens to be Bender, and he says, "Bite my shiny metal anus," then yeah, no, there's not gonna be any blackjack and hookers. Not in this game, not in Star Cruiser 2, not in the... You know what, though? Speaking of which, I am curious. I think I've brought up the concept of Star Cruiser 3 before, but... now, if I remember correctly, the original creator of Star Cruiser is currently working on a title known as Sword Star, I don't know much about Sword Star, so I can't really vouch for much of it. There is also somebody out there in Japan, if my memory serves correctly, that is currently actually making their own engine to make a 3D remake of Star Cruiser for iOS and other relevant mobile devices. That will be interesting if it ever comes to pass. I would be very happy to see that. But the concept of Star Cruiser 3, I do not know what would happen if we ended up getting a Star Cruiser 3. Because it doesn't seem like a title that could potentially happen at this time. But if it did, I know for a fact that fans all over would be swarming for this game. Especially if they're already familiar with the English translations of Star Cruiser MD, and 2. What I would be more curious about is, would the game take a gameplay shift? Because again, Star Cruiser MD and 2, they use real-time labyrinth warfare. And you know, I'm more of a sucker for Phantasy Star style first-person shooter gameplay as what we have with the original Star Cruiser. So it would feel weird if we didn't get a gameplay style such as what we're seeing on screen here. If, however, we did have to have real-time labyrinth warfare, I would probably want something that's a bit more in the middle. Something that combines both. Both the original Star Cruiser and Star Cruiser MD and 2's gameplay. Not only would it be a fair balance, but it would give the game a bit more variety. All that they would need to handle, however, is the brutality of the AI. And yet, that's another reason why I would want the game to be on RSDK. I feel that there's a lot that Christian Whitehead can do with RSDK, but because of the fact that, for the most part, he and his crew have been stuck doing Sonic material for all this time, we haven't really been able to see the true potential of the engine. And yes, there are some people that have done mods of Sonic the Hedgehog Mania, at least the PC version, that have been able to show off what RSDK version 5 can do. You know, we have a space flight simulator. We have text adventure style cutscenes akin to that of Akin? Is akin the proper term there? Akin to that of Sonic Rush? That's what I wanted to say. Yeah, of similar character. Yeah, akin to that of Sonic Rush. I mean, it's only a matter of time before all 4 Phantasy Star titles are fully ported over to RSDK. It's only a matter of time before somebody uses the engine for the special not the engine for the special stages. Yeah, the coding for the special stages to make Star Cruiser on RSDK. Heck, if I knew what I was doing with coding, I would do it myself. I cannot stress that enough. If I knew what I was doing with the engine, I would do it myself. But other than that, you know, if we ever do get Star Cruiser 3, I know that we'll be happy. But it'll have to be somebody that knows what they're doing. It'll have to be somebody who has been a fan of the game for a long time. I mean, heck, I would happily just do the music. Music, and if any voice acting is needed, hey, I'm down. I'm always down. Yeah, the only thing that I do... Actually, no, this would actually give me a chance to truly be able to show what I can really do from an acting standpoint, because, you know, not a lot of people know that I was in theater. You know, I had Theater Arts 1 to 3. I was supposed to have Theater Arts 4, but then the Lynn Classical Saga happened, and I wasn't able to do so. I was supposed to finish up grade 12 with Mr. Lowe in Theater Arts 4, but that didn't happen. Yeah, and I've also done stagecraft. But as I said, I do have a lot of expertise being on stage. Whenever I'm on stage, people have always had a positive reception of me. But they understand that I'm not working at my optimal potential. And I think that's kind of why I got into commentaries anyway. So that I could open up my sense of character to different sides of every single branch of the discussion. Not just for topics such as games, but also for other matters. Politics and humanitarian issues that affect our everyday lives. The reason why we need to finally have complete state ownership of the MBTA and not outsource our stuff to companies in North Carolina and Mississippi and France. It's things such as that I think give me a different mindset now than I probably would have had roughly 10 years ago. And it has shown how much I have evolved. Am I 100%? No two ways about it. I'm not 100% at this time, but eventually I will be. And when that time comes, man, everything that you see right now before you, there may be some overhauls, there will definitely be optimizations. But once that time comes, you'll see. The feel will be just right. Just right, not just for you, not just for me, but for everybody. So, are we done here? Oh, no, I'm heading over to Jupiter because that's the closest. I'm closer to Jupiter than I am anywhere else, so I can just go here. I can just go here and refill. And we're almost done with the part. I've only got about 5.5 minutes at this point. And let's see, so we are at part 4 of 8. So, there's going to be a little something new this time around when it comes to the way that we handle commentaries. So, in the event that I don't decide to do, small miniature commercial blocks at the beginning of each part, what I will do is, at the halfway point of a commentary, since, we're like at part 4 of 8, if it's an odd number, it'll be the number closer to the beginning of the second half. Like, if it's 9 parts, then it would be part 5 instead of part 4, being the halfway point. So, yeah, what I'll do is, I'll probably have like a 2 to 5 minute station break, just advertising a whole bunch of material from my members, affiliates, and colleagues alike. And that will cover up all the promotions necessary going into the way that we're going to be handling the format for Generation 4. Because ultimately, Very Minute Generation 4 probably will benefit better from me promoting others. Because not only does it give them some free promotion, but also helps make sure that their material is getting some form of acknowledgement. Because, we're in a time now where we are starting to see some people have ratings declines. Despite how well Very Minute Season 9 has been getting ratings, but that's also, I want to say, in part thanks to our older material. Because, Season 8 has really started to see some noticeable numbers. Some material from 2013 to 15, most specifically, What Was Wave Saying and Brainsea Films getting some attention. And even material from Royameadow 17 really spiked. I mean, again, I did not expect the WGBH, the WGBH logo remakes, Volume 1, of course, to really get as much attention as it did. Don't get me wrong, I am in the middle of doing Part 2. The only problem is, it's hard to remake some of these from scratch, so it will take a while. Plus, I also have to remaster all of the stuff from 2017 because of the fact that, yes, while they were in HD and 60 frames per second, I had rendered them in an 8-bit palette. This is especially true in the case of the Greater Boston 1997 20th anniversary opening, and that was a that was actually kind of disappointing. So yeah, I'll need to upgrade that into 32-bit. I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do. That won't be difficult. Fortunately, I still have the original master copies. Ugh. That would have been a pain to do from scratch. I know it in my heart. So we have all that we need in terms of Deuter Ores. We're maxed out now. So we're just gonna go back to Station 1, refill, and then we shall be back to Rigil Kent to go to Kai. But of course, that's not happening until we reach... wait, is there any new information when we go here, or...? Yep, this place has become peaceful, even despite the current political climate. So yeah, after Cuddy Sark, some areas will start having different dialogue, such as that. So that's nice to see. But yeah, so we're at the end of the, we've come to the halfway point. Station break's about to come up, and yeah, we will deal with Kai in Part 5. Man, there's actually a lot that we're going to be talking about in Part 5, especially one key detail that will make the, you'll understand why I give Part 5 the title name that I give it. Yeah, Part 5 is going to be funny. It's going to be funny, because just because of the filler that makes it... Well, it's filler that somewhat turns into plot, and it'll definitely make better sense once we get into, because Part 5 is the Foul Egg Saga, right? I think that's correct. Yeah, Part 5 is the Foul Egg Saga. So there will be some key details that we'll see there that will make all the reason to understand why I'm bringing up what I am. But yeah, the fun times will come, without a doubt. So that is the end of Part 5. Yeah, yes, I understand that this part was a bit lackluster, but that's just to be expected. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm tired. I'm tired, and I have other places to be right now. So yeah, so enjoy the music video. Also enjoy the upcoming station break, and we'll be back for Part 5 when we get to see a very interesting character in the entire universe. And when I say interesting, I mean he's interesting. More clarity later. have now arrived at the station break for this program. Please enjoy 5 minutes of non-stop commercials, and then we will get back to our programming. Are you looking for opinion?
I always have way too much fun.
Do you have a desire for action?
Are you ready to party? I'm ready to party!
Perhaps you're looking for an anime thesis.
The Japanese government created anime.
Who will give you a show? Only Doug Young II. With over 200 programs in his library, the head of Royameadow Generation 2 has been entertaining the people since 2007, delivering content where it truly matters. Online. Welcome to the world of various variety.
Ever let anybody who's driving a minivan go?
Doug Riss. Watch Doug Riss only on Royanet Channel 21, Dolly HD, Boston.
Hands up, Shaq Illuminati. I've been dreaming big ever since a fucking car seat. Hands up, Shaq Illuminati. Sin City, baby, be the life of the party. And no, I won't sell my soul for no human body. No, I won't sell my soul for a new Ferrari. Hands up, Shaq Illuminati. I've been dreaming big.
Gunshot or firework? Which one?
This is what heaven looks like.
Got you now.
I love walking home from school. Success! We did it! I'm a pro! I think that if dinosaurs existed today, then it would be really challenging for them to live. I gotta go before this cat claws my eyes out. Bye!
Get your jacket, man, cause we ain't staying there. We gon' hit this party, and I'ma get it in.
Living in terror forever, minds full of scorcher. Tell me how to make it further when we're fighting one another.
There was no pleasure, couldn't find trust. Looking for the passion, there was no lust.
Will I ever come through? When the pressure's on, will I ever come through?
Today's the day I fell in love with rap. Like a slave out of chains, I got freedom back. Like I'm back in the game and they needed that. Like I haven't got paid, but I feel I haven't. Body covered in armor, on the road to be on it. Couldn't wait for mañana. With this sword I'm a slider. I'm surrounded by cowards, each of them searching for power. In the body of one, with the strength of another.
I am beauty, power, and knowledge. You need me. You want me.
You tell me move and I move. So when I do what I do, it's with the same point of view. Look at how they look at me. I thought about her, I dreamed about her. I think I know her, I'm talking to her.
Kate Fairbanks, Healing Echoes. All these mashups and more to come. The legendary Kate Fairbanks and Healing Echoes. It's not a goodbye, it's a warm welcome.